for the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, which helps migrants enter the United States, and you're familiar with their work. We know that you served as a former board member of this group that funds illegal immigration, and they're very proud of you, Mr. Secretary. This is corruption at the deepest level. As a matter of fact, I would call it treason. It's treason because these...
Whoa, what's going on, everybody? Today we're going to watch the clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene accusing Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas of treason over his connections to an NGO, which she claims is flooding the country with illegal migrants. We're going to listen to that. Then I want to play a clip of Alan Dershowitz, who's Trump's lawyer buddy, and I think he used to work with Epstein and wrote a book about how he didn't do anything wrong or whatever. But we're going to watch a video of him saying that he's leaving the Democratic Party, possibly. So he's still a Democrat, I guess. And he says like why he wants to leave the Democratic Party now. I find it interesting. Third story is going to be my line in the sand about voting this year for Trump. You know, this is my demand. I know I'm just one person, but I'm not going to vote unless he does this one thing, or at least doesn't cave on this one thing. I'm going to talk about that. Hope you enjoy. Give me a thumbs up in the chat. Dream Rare podcast starts now, and in just 1 to 2 minutes, we're going to listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene's full grilling of Secretary Mayorkas, and then I'll respond.
It's the Dream Rare podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? God bless everybody except for Most Mundane, who said, if he mentions hate speech, I'm leaving. Hate speech. Oh, bye. Goodbye. Anyway, appreciate everybody for being there. God bless you too. I'm just kidding. We got Marla on Facebook. We got Thomas, Elizabeth, Megabytes, $500 fines, Liz, Joyce. Appreciate y'all. All right, let's get it cracking. First, I want to say hate speech. So that guy leaves again. Just kidding. But it's hate speech to disagree with me. Obviously, I don't believe in it. Unless you disagree with me, then it's obviously hate speech and you need to be deported. But jokes aside, we're going to listen to the full 4-minute video of Marjorie Taylor Greene and then look at this Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, or I don't know if I said that. We'll look it up, and after she says it, she's accusing him of treason, Secretary Mayorkas, because she says that he's a board member or was a board member of this organization that is working with other organizations to flood the country with illegal migrants. It's very interesting stuff. I'm going to play the clip. And I also want to say I apologize for the audio. It's very like crackly and weird. I looked for like 5 to 10 minutes trying to find one that wasn't this way, but I guess this was the microphone they had in Congress for C-SPAN or whatever. So it is what it is. I apologize. I wish I could make the audio a little better, but this is a clip of history, and the audio is what it is. So 4 minutes long. Let's listen.
RCM is an operation that houses functions for the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, which helps migrants enter the United States, and you're familiar with their work. We know that you served as a former board member of this group that funds illegal immigration, and they're very proud of you, Mr. Secretary. This is corruption at the deepest level.
Oh, sorry. Wait, so I apologize. I played the wrong clip. That was the intro video. Here's the full. I just wanted to see if you guys were paying attention. Jokes aside, I didn't do that purposely. Here's the full 4-minute grilling. I had 2 separate clips. My bad.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Mayorkas, we do not have a country without a secure border, and we cannot have a safe country. We cannot protect our own democracy without protecting our elections. That is a fact. The open border is the #1 issue across America in poll after poll, and that is exactly why this committee impeached you. Mr. Secretary, the Oversight Project released a bombshell report last night on your connection to the dark money NGO industrial complex of illegal immigration. I know you saw this from one of my colleagues just earlier. They found flyers throughout the Resource Center Matamoros refugee camp in Mexico telling illegal aliens, reminder to vote for President Biden when you are in the United States. We need another 4 years of his term to stay open. Eyewitnesses saw the flyers also being handed out to migrants who were using RCM for assistance in coming to the United States. In an audio recording, the founder of RCM, Gabby Zavala, by the way, we maybe should subpoena her to the committee, agreed that they need to help as many people as possible before President Trump gets reelected. RCM is an operation that houses functions for the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, which helps migrants enter the United States, and you're familiar with their work. We know that you served as a former board member of this group that funds illegal immigration. And they're very proud of you, Mr. Secretary. They congratulated you on your nomination. You worked as a board member of an NGO that is working in conjunction with other NGOs, which are not only financing the invasion of the country, but also telling illegal aliens to vote in the United States elections. They are telling illegal aliens, non-citizens, to come vote for Joe Biden. That's your boss. This is corruption at the deepest level. As a matter of fact, I would call it treason. It's treason because these people have declared war on our citizens by raping our women, our children, and murdering people. Like Laken Riley, you're familiar with her, right?
Congressman Art Briggs.
Are you familiar with Laken Riley?
I am familiar with the case.
You should have deported her so that she could be alive today. Her parents would have appreciated that. And also Kayla Hamilton, who was brutally raped and murdered by a cartel member. Her mother came and spoke to us. She didn't deport him either. You let him in the country. You, Mr. Secretary, have allowed over 10 million illegals, probably higher than that, could be closer to 15 million, we don't know, to invade our country. You've allowed the cartels to make billions and billions. As a matter of fact, you're probably the best business partner they could ever have. They make all this money in human trafficking and drug trafficking at our border. You've allowed approximately 300 Americans to be murdered every single day from fentanyl that comes across our border. And now you're aiding NGOs to steal our elections through your budget. I demand proof of citizenships in our elections, and that is something every single member of Congress should care about. We don't need illegal aliens voting in our elections. We're supposed to be here talking about your budget, but we're talking about how money is being used to make sure people come into our country are able to get a social security number in which they can register to vote. And on that note, Mr. Mayorkas, I demand that Chuck Schumer holds your impeachment trial in the Senate, because that's exactly what we should be focused on right now. Mr. Chairman, I yield the remainder of my time.
All right, so that was Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm just joking. Marjorie sounds like margarine butter. Listen, you get what you get with this show. I just thought it was like a dad joke. Haha. Anyway, that's Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she accused him of treason. Someone said, we've heard this old news. Well, you didn't hear my take on it, so welcome to the new news. But anyway, I want to look at the one organization she was talking about, because she mentioned the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society that he was a board member of that's working with other NGOs. So let's just take a look at that. I just did a little research. So according to their website, the HIAS says, welcome the stranger, protect the refugee, founded to help Jews fleeing pogroms in Europe. Today's HIAS stands for a world which refugees of all faiths find welcome, safety, and opportunity. The Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society was established on November 27th, 1881, originally to help the large number of Russian Jewish immigrants to the United States who had left Europe to escape anti-Semitic persecution and violence. HIAS, Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, is a Jewish-American nonprofit organization that provides humanitarian aid and assistance to refugees. Apparently, it says that HIAS has offices in the United States, across Latin America, Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Since its inception, HIAS has helped resettle more than 4.5 million people. Incredible. And Mayorkas, I guess, is a board member, according to Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't know. I've only heard roughly about them, but I'm just checking it out now. Interesting stuff. I mean, luckily for them, Republicans are passing anti-Semitic hate speech laws to basically make it pseudo illegal and hate speech to even suggest that a Jewish organization exists. It's not to say all people are doing it, but you have groups like the ADL, which is a Jewish organization, but right wingers say, oh, they're a left wing organization. And it's like, well, then why are you constantly doing what they say to do? Like, there's like bills policing anti-Semitism and hate speech on the internet that they're now passing through Congress that the ADL is excited about, but Republicans are also passing it. It's very interesting. Speaking of which, I just want to show you, it's really interesting. Of course, you can't get a border wall. You can't get, the endless debt to stop. The inflation is out of control. The cities are falling apart in America and no one seems to care. But don't worry, Congress is working hard to condemn hate speech, of course. Every single Republican, except for Thomas Massie, voted yesterday to condemn anti-Semitic phrases, such as the river to the sea statement is now condemned by Congress. Because, of course, Congress can't build a wall or stop inflation or fix our cities, but every Republican in Congress, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, and the rest of the clowns, everybody but Thomas Massie, they voted yes. You might be asking yourself, what does it mean that Congress condemns a phrase in hate speech? It actually doesn't mean anything. Nothing changes. Nothing's going to happen. Condemning means absolutely nothing. It's basically like them waving their finger at you. And they feel that it's so important to wave their finger at an anti-Semitic phrase that they all have to come together and waste our taxpayer dollars to say, don't say that. To who? To Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib? I mean, that's what Congress is for. You guys can't fix the wall. You can't fix our cities. You can't fix our country. Everything's falling apart, but you can wave your finger at a phrase that, college liberals are saying or something in the streets. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know. I just found it fascinating. So just to analyze that real quick, the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing, she's using the word treason, which is a heavy word. That's interesting, to say that he's committing that based on that. I don't know what you'd call it, but he's doing a bad job if you think that he serves America and is looking out for our best interests. But if you realize that he's not doing any of that, then I guess he's probably doing what he's always done, which is not really care about the position that he's in and doing the exact opposite of protecting our homeland security, which is supposed to be his job. But, I don't know. None of this is surprising. I could act shocked like Matt Gaetz on Twitter. He's like, what? Our money's going to Ukraine to fund pills? Or I don't know what he said, some stupid thing. Not pills, but let me look it up. He's like, wow, our Ukraine money's being mismanaged. What? Oh, man. What did he say? Oh, anti-narcotic incentives initiatives in Ukraine. I can't believe our money's funding that. We're supposed to be funding Israel, says Matt Gaetz. Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, bro. Oh, my gosh. I thought our money was going to that country, but it's going to that country. Oh, do another documentary, loser. Anyway, speaking of right-wing media darlings, I don't really pay attention to Republican media because it's just as stupid as Rachel Maddow. But for some reason, Fox News and most Republican media, their darling is the Trump friend lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, who was, I think, Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer. And then he wrote a book about how, he didn't do anything wrong or whatever. And he sells that across the news or something. I don't know what he does. He's like a lawyer, but he made a video recently to tell you after, being Trump's lawyer for a long time, or at least he's always defending Trump in mainstream media. And he's like the darling of Republican media. He now has come to the epiphany that it might be time to leave the Democratic Party. Might be time now in 2024. Something seems a little off. Is it the border? No. Is it, basically anything that's happening in America? No. It's their support of not giving more foreign aid and weapons to a foreign country. But it's also, of course, hate speech to say that that's his agenda, even though people like that say that all the time. You're not allowed to say it because in America, we only pass hate speech laws for one race, one religion, and one foreign country, of course. And it's hate speech to think that your job is anything other than just to go into further and further debt to fund multiple foreign wars and sell out your own constitution, because that's what Americans are for, of course. But anyway, here's lawyer Alan Dershowitz with his do what I say, Joe Biden, Democratic Party, or else I'm going to be a Republican now.
The Democratic Party is at risk of becoming the pro-Palestine, anti-Israel, pro-Hamas party. And if it becomes that, it has an enemy in me, and it has an enemy in many others who have long supported the Democratic Party. It's turning Israel from a bipartisan issue into a partisan issue. Not good for Israel, not good for America, not good for Democrats like me who have been generally loyal to the Democratic Party for so many years. We feel betrayed, and we're not going to take it. So my oath to you, if the United States cuts back on military aid to Israel, if it doesn't go through with its obligation, legal, ethical, moral, to send these F-16 or whatever fighter jets to Israel and denies them the right to protect themselves against Hamas, I will actively campaign against Democratic candidates all over the country. If the administration in any way cuts back military aid from Israel, I will no longer be a member of the Democratic.
This is why I think it's so funny when Republicans just make fun of blue-haired liberals all the time in college. Like, yeah, college students are dumb that support Joe Biden, sure. It's like Republicans, no offense, they're just as dumb. Like, you watch Republican media put a Democrat lawyer on TV, like that's the media darling defending Trump all the time, and they're a Democrat for the last God knows how long, and they only want to be a Republican if Joe Biden won't give fighter jets and foreign aid to a foreign country. Where have I seen him before? Of course, from the O.J. Simpson trial and the Jeffrey Epstein drama, but also, you know, when Trump and DeSantis sell out the Constitution of America, Donald Trump signed an anti-Semitism, basically anti-free speech bill for totally not Israel. Alan Dershowitz, you'll see he's right there, along with Jared Kushner, Ivanka, and probably people of an ethnicity and religion that you're not allowed to say, but I'm guessing that's what the meeting was. So it's like, okay. So people like, I don't know. Am I supposed to like act shocked by everything? Oh my gosh, what? Our money's going to a foreign country and they're using it for this? Oh my gosh. It's like, yeah, it's pretty obvious what's going on. The Republican Party is selling out the First Amendment for a foreign country. People like Alan Dershowitz, God bless the guy, but he seems to have no problem with the Democratic Party until they won't give fighter jets and money to Israel. What am I supposed to get from that? Like what they were doing over the last 10 years, that didn't make you want to leave the Democratic Party? Not 2016, not 2017. It wasn't, you know, the fact that they're against American interests with the border. It's not their COVID policies, which were pathological. They made, you know, Trump looked like a libertarian with how hard they were pushing mandates. Like none of that made you want to be a conservative or a Republican. It's just the fact that they won't give money to a foreign country. And then he's standing there while Donald Trump is passing a law that says that you can't say any person of his ethnicity or religion has loyalty to Israel. I mean, I honestly, at this point, just assuming that Republicans are as dumb as the elites think. And I don't really know what to say about it because it's like, everyone's like running circles around other plots constantly. They're like, whoa, the bodega picture. Wow, Trump took a picture at a bodega. Whoa, wow. It's like, what's the point of even talking about anything? That's why I don't know. I'm not super inspired to like talk about average WWE drama because it doesn't even matter anymore. Speaking of which, though, I'll answer a few questions in the comments, and I'm going to try to keep this video under 50 minutes, so I'm not going to stay too long. But this is my line in the sand to vote. I'm in a state that's probably going to go to Joe Biden, almost definitely, so my vote doesn't really electorally matter that much to Trump. I don't live in Wisconsin or Pennsylvania or one of the swing states, but this is my line in the sand. I'm making it clear. And I'm one person, but this is how I feel. This is my inspiration to vote. There's, you know, border security. I like Trump better. There's a few things that I think Trump is better at, but the First Amendment is important to me. And anybody that infringes on the First Amendment, I'm just not inspired to defend you or make excuses for you or make videos about you. I don't care anymore. The First Amendment is so important. Free speech, not infringing on it for any reason. And Republicans can't seem to do that. DeSantis flies to Israel and infringes on the First Amendment. Trump does it, you know, in America. He sells it out. Almost every Republican is selling it out. They just can't stop passing the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism into law, which creates a list of 10 to 11 hate speech phrases. And it's now outlawing. You can't say that Jewish people own anything. That's anti-Semitic. You can't talk about Jesus in the wrong way. That's anti-Semitic. In my opinion, they're anti-Christian, anti-American laws that are not only infringing on the First Amendment, but they mention Jesus. Imagine if Christians passed a anti-Christian law where you couldn't, criticize Christians, and it included like Moshiach, which is like a important word to Jewish, or Moses, or anybody in their world that they look up to. Like, that's crazy. But that's what Republicans are doing. They're trying to outlaw the Bible. Trump is a total fraud. He holds up the Bible while he passes legislation to use biblical words and phrases and interpretations and make them hate speech. Why would you include Jesus in anti-Semitic hate speech? It's obvious what they're doing. So this is my line in the sand. I'm only one person. Luckily for the Republican Party, not everybody's honest or bright enough to figure this out, so they'll probably win with flying colors. But if they can't stop passing these speech laws and infringing on the First Amendment, I'm never voting for them again. I'm never supporting them. I'm never paying attention to them. I don't care about them. It's that simple. And if enough people took this stand and said, I'm not voting for you unless you stop infringing on the First Amendment, then they would stop infringing on the First Amendment. But people don't even realize it's happening. It's always this left to right plot. Trump's at a bodega. He's handing out pizza pies with 50,000 cameras in his face. It's always something else. It's always like Alan Dershowitz defending him against this judge, yet he's miraculously somehow still a Democrat, and nothing that happened in America in the last 10 years made him want to be a Republican. It's only his, allegiance to a foreign nation, which there's laws being passed in America that you're not even allowed to say people like Ben Shapiro have an allegiance to Israel, even though it's obvious. So now that's hate speech to say that, because that's one of the laws that Trump is passing and DeSantis is passing. You're not allowed to say a single Jewish person in America has loyalty to Israel, even though it's true. And the weird part is they bully Jewish people who don't have loyalty to Israel, like Dave Smith. Dave Smith's an American who has loyalty to America, and he happens to be Jewish, yet he's constantly bullied by these people. So on one hand, they say that you're not allowed to say that it's just one group doing stuff, which is true. But then when it's not just one group doing stuff, they harass them and yell at them and call them names, trying to get them on their side, trying to get their loyalty to Israel. So it's like the whole thing is just so obvious. It's so much hypocrisy and double standards. And I'm just not voting for a party that's selling out the First Amendment. It's never going to change. Trump's not going to save you. Trump works with Mike Johnson. He's not fighting the deep state. He's going to hire them. He's sold out to donors. The election, everyone's talking about the stolen election. Sure. Yeah, they could definitely cheat. But at the same time, the election's already been stolen. It's over. The election's already over. Both candidates are compromised. It doesn't matter. That's the real stolen election. Trump won in 2016, sold out the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, printed more money than Obama, and then ran around selling vaccines against his own feelings and consciousness. That's the stolen election. The fact that Trump is taking hundreds of millions of dollars from donors, and he's probably going to hire the swamp and run the same foreign policy, that's the stolen election. So every narrative, I'm not trying to seem bitter, but every narrative that most Republicans are talking about, it's like stupid town. Like, you got to be stupid or brainwashed in order to follow anything they've been doing for the last 4 years, starting with probably 2019, forwarding through the pandemic, when people are just like, maybe he has a plan. And it's like, the fork in the road's happened. I've gone this way. Other people have gone this way. And 3 years of listening to other commentators has clearly brainwashed tens of millions of Republicans to the point where they don't even know what their own party's doing. And they have this false perception that the guy who sold out 3 amendments in 4 years is going to somehow save them from the things that he did or the inflation that he caused. I don't understand it, but that's my line in the sand. I'm just being clear. I might make a very clear video, 5 minutes long or something, to explain this. I'm not voting for Trump unless he stops infringing on the First Amendment. It's not a hard ask. It's actually very simple. It's just most Republicans and conservatives, they don't know it's happening or they don't care, which is why it happens. I do care. I'm not voting for a party that's selling out my own interests, and it's just like ridiculous. And I want to say this too, just to make it really clear. It's one thing for our country to support allies that I don't want to send hundreds of billions of dollars to, right? Here's the first obvious thing that no one really thinks about. We're in debt. Every time we pay another country, we don't have money. We're spiraling into debt. You can't give somebody money that you don't have. So we're going into more debt to give other countries money. Why can't Israel go into debt? And why can't Ukraine go into debt to fund themselves? Why do we need to go into more debt? We don't have money. So it's just affecting our taxpayer dollars. Like, it's absolutely asinine that America has to be the cash cow, complete, worker bee colony of just people that have to go into further and further debt to fund other countries. If we can go into debt, other countries can go into debt also. I don't understand the dynamic that we have to go into further debt. It's because the American people are so brain dead that they don't even realize it's happening. It's like the whole world realizes it's happening, but America just doesn't even realize how America works. They're like, Trump's for us. Biden's going to beat the dude. It's like everyone's so dumb here. And I'm sorry, but people that worship Trump are just as brainwashed as liberals at this point. They don't even see how this goes. And the omnibus bills are not going to stop, and the foreign aid's not going to stop. It's just going to continue just like it did the last 4 years. But anyway, it's like that's one element of it. They could just go into debt themselves. Another element of it is it's one thing to give hundreds of billions of dollars to Israel over the course of the last couple decades. Like Israel's gotten more foreign aid than anybody. Okay, that's fine. They get, Jewish people in America get reparations. I know you're not supposed to talk about it, but Kathy Hochul gave hundreds of millions of dollars to Jewish Americans for a tragedy that America helped with. We didn't work with Germany. We were fighting Germany. So why would America be paying reparations for a war that we fought on the side of Jewish people? But apparently we still give hundreds of millions of dollars to them. People don't even know this because they're afraid to even report this. Like you'll never hear this on Daily Wire. Either they agree with the reparations or they're afraid to report it because they don't want to get called anti-Semitic. But we're giving hundreds of millions of dollars of reparations for World War II to just one race and one religion. So if we're going to be giving hundreds of millions of dollars to one group, if we're going to be giving hundreds of billions of dollars to one country, this is all I ask from the Republican Party. I'm not even telling you to stop doing it because I live in a country that you can't say that. It's like we exist to just go into more debt. So I'm just accepting my role in this world. That's what I am. I'm just another worker bee in a fake country that nobody seems to realize what's going on. But in general, if you're going to do all this stuff, the least you could do, if I'm not a complete slave and a complete cash cow, the least you could do, if I'm going to even pretend to have an ounce of pride or be like an ounce of an American, not a total pathetic cow, you don't have to pass speech laws for the people that are getting hundreds of billions of dollars. You can at least allow the First Amendment to play out and allow people to have conversations. If you give hundreds of billions of dollars to Israel, it's whatever. But to pass legislation like Trump and DeSantis and all these Republican con artists, fake scammers are doing, to say that you're not allowed to criticize that country or talk about that country or say this about that country or say that it's happening and now it's hate speech to say that they're getting money from donors to do it. Like you have, like, at a certain point, it's like, if this is the country, like, I don't, it is what it is, but it's like, that's my only ask. You can give hundreds of billions of dollars to that country. You can give reparations to one group. You can call everything hate speech, but don't pass it into law. Republicans are passing anti-Semitism into law, redefining anti-Semitism and making it a list of hate speech phrases to stop you from talking about the country they're giving hundreds of billions of dollars to. It's absolutely asinine. That's my only ask. I'm not a slave. I'm not a prisoner. I'm not an animal. So if I'm going to live in this country and pretend like I have the First Amendment, I'm going to use it. I pay taxes. I paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes, and I'm not that wealthy to be paying that much taxes. So if I'm going to pay taxes, I'm going to talk my shit. And that's what I'm saying is I'm not voting for Trump or any Republican ever again unless they stop passing anti-First Amendment speech laws. It's one thing to give hundreds of billions of dollars to a foreign country. It's another thing to give hundreds of billions of dollars to a foreign country while passing speech laws against your own citizens to stop them from saying that it's even happening. Fuck you guys. That's what I think. I just paid taxes. Fuck you. So if you guys can't do that, fuck Trump, fuck the Republican Party, fuck every stupid person that just runs around in circles, like thinking that they're so special. You're just as stupid as a blue-haired liberal. So that's my line in the sand. I pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes over the last couple of years. That's my fuck you to the Republican Party. You're selling out the First Amendment. Trump infringed on the Second Amendment. Trump infringed on the Fourth Amendment. Trump fucking sucks. And everybody that worships him is just so stupid. It's just like, you're just as dumb as a liberal. So someone said overreacting. I don't want to live in Canada or Europe, or I'd move there. At the end of the day, Canada has speech laws. Canada is completely cucked. Justin Trudeau is a dictator. You can't say anything. You can't do anything. There's hate speech. The police show up at your house for being right or doing an edgy joke. Same with, freaking Europe. You go to prison for being funny. Like, comedy's outlawed. You make a joke about the wrong thing, they'll send you to freaking prison. That's what Trump and DeSantis and these freaking scumbag scammers are trying to do to America. They're slow rolling speech laws into America, and the speech laws include the word Jesus. They're trying to to outlaw your Lord and Savior. They're trying to outlaw the Bible. Just because Trump holds out a Bible and then sells out the Bible to his donors doesn't mean he gives a shit about you. You guys are just as stupid as liberals, okay? I pay taxes. Fuck the Republican Party for selling out the First Amendment. It's not an overreaction. If every man in the Republican Party were a man, it would end tomorrow. But you got a bunch of losers, a bunch of cucks, a bunch of scammers, a bunch of like, oh, I don't even want to pretend like it's happening. Then you're just as dumb as a liberal. No wonder you make content about liberals all day, because you're just as fake and stupid as them. So you got to look at them to feel good about yourself. I believe in the First Amendment. I don't want to live in Canada. I don't want to live in Europe. I don't want to live in another country that doesn't have the free speech and the right to protest. And the fact that Republicans are the opposition party and they're selling out not only our First Amendment for our country, but also my religion. Get my Lord and Savior's name out of your hate speech laws. If you can't, fuck you. That's what every Christian should do. But all these cucked churches are like, send your money to Ukraine. Jesus wants you to give money to Ukraine. No, they don't, you stupid pastor. Jesus wants me to give money to a country that's subverting the Bible and going in the opposite direction and fighting countries that actually uphold the laws of the Bible. Yeah, no, Jesus doesn't want me to do that. Sorry, scammer pastor. I get it. You want a 15th private jet or something. He's like, I have 16 private jets, but Jesus wants me to have 18 private jets. So we got to give more money to Ukraine. Shut the fuck up. Excuse me. Excuse my language. Only God can judge me. And I'm sure he's judging me now, but what I'm saying is not wrong. Do you even go to church? I do, until they start trying to tell me to give money to Ukraine. Then I'd rather just go to the gym. I feel more holy taking care of my temple than I do listening to some scammer pastor push like liberalism and foreign aid. Give money to this country, bro. Take your ass to San Francisco and go fix that shithole of a place, or Los Angeles or Oakland. Any city in America. They're all falling apart. Why don't you take your little church down there? We like. Yeah, sure, I'll give money to Africa or whatever, but like, well, I gotta fund multiple foreign wars in order for Jesus to love me. Like at that point, I'd rather just lift weights and listen to music. I feel more holy doing so. But that's my line in the sand. Is like, stop selling out the First Amendment. I'm not voting for Trump. He's selling out the First Amendment, and no one seems to care. Why does no one care? It's this psychology of like, look at the left and the judge and the bodega and the pizza pie and the it's always like this stupid thing. It's like, cool. Cool story, dude. Wow. But what do you think about Trump and a bodega? I mean, Trump is a cool guy, so he looks cool doing everything. He's a celebrity. He's a cool guy. But it's like they're just doing photo ops. It's just he's cooler than Joe Biden. So if Joe Biden shows up to a bodega, it just looks weird because Joe Biden's weird. When Trump does it, it looks cool because he's cool. But like a cool politician selling out my religion and the First Amendment is insane. And, just to be clear, because I know I'm going to be falsely accused of a million things now for the rest of my life. That's fine. I'm not blaming any group. Christians are too weak. You get what you get. And this is where I disagree with a lot of Christians. Like, if you look through the thousands of years of Christianity, they would have been done 1,000 years ago if Christians just walked around like, it's the end times, it's time for me to die. Then Christianity wouldn't exist in the current world. The whole reason that Christianity was a thing, like it's not anymore. Christians are just getting like completely wiped out and cucked, obviously. But like when it was a thing like 50, 60 years ago, the reason it was a thing, because Christians, of course, they know the end times are coming eventually, but it's not like they wake up and they're like, I'm going to die tomorrow. It's like, yeah, you're supposed to get right with the Lord. That's what you're striving for, not giving up and falling over and allowing other people to conquer you. No one ever thought that. It wasn't until like the late 1800s, early 1900s that people ever thought that, because they got brainwashed by a foreign policy. It's like, like you talk to Christians, they're like, we're not supposed to win. Okay, loser. That's not what Christians said 1,000 years ago. They're not like, let's get conquered because we're losers. We're all a bunch of losers. Like, Christians never thought that way. Like, that wasn't how America worked in the 1900s, in the 1800s, the 1700s. That's not how any Christian society worked in the 1600s, the 1500s, the 1400s. They always defended themselves. It's not like, hey, let's go kill ourselves. It's like that's like Christians nowadays. And then when they do that, here's all I'm going to say is like, if you're going to do that, just admit that, like, stop talking about Trump or Republican. Like, just admit you're a loser and you're going down. Like, don't be like, well, why did the Republican Party do this? Because you're a loser. You just said it 5 minutes ago. Like, oh no, it's like the same people that constantly say that, like, it's time for them to lose. They also simultaneously complain about politics as if they're not the reasons that it's going in that direction. It's the left. Oh, sure it is, loser. Whatever you say. Someone said I'm about to start. All right, well, Cowboy Bear, I'm not trying to get trapped into reading that, but appreciate the super chat. Seemed like a trap. Someone said Trump said he's going to protect Christians, and now he's backing anti-First Amendment censoring. Yeah, he did it in 2019. He passed a bill with Alan Dershowitz and Jared Kushner looking over his shoulder that passed the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism and tried to subvert legal protests. There's a lot of groups that I don't agree with, but here's the problem with liberals is like they never seem to do legal protests. They always like ruin it. But here's the thing. As soon as their legal protest becomes an illegal protest, crack down on it. Like you can't block a bridge. You can't, you know what I'm saying? Like that's not legal, but you don't need hate speech legislation to make that illegal. It's already illegal, And if you're this is what Matt Walsh said, which is true. If you're going to pass hate speech laws, then pass it for every religion. If you're only passing it for one, it's not equality American hate speech laws for our best interests. It's for the donors that are paying off the Republican Party. Or I can't tell you how like politics works, but I don't know. I don't have it's like I have two routes. Either I'm going to tell the truth or I'm going to retire and do something else. Like I don't know how these people just constantly like don't talk about this to you. I don't know what type of pressure they're facing or if they're just losers. I can't really tell, but it's whatever. Someone said Trump loves gays for some reason. Well, I mean, he's got a big heart, I guess you could say, but he's like a New York Democrat, he doesn't have the conviction that everyone has on all these issues, which is fine if people just admit it. But it's like, because Trump doesn't actually get results in reality, people have to fantasize some like cowboy, Marvel plot. Like he's got this secret plan, dude. Like, it's not happening. So people will be like, in my head, he's beating up the deep state. You're like, all right, that's like a major cope. Someone said Christians deserve laws for protection. But here's what I'm going to say, though, and please don't call me anti-Christian for this. I'm not. Christians don't deserve laws for protection. You don't deserve anything, right? I deserve. No, Christians do not deserve laws for protection because they don't earn them and they don't want them. And most Christian leaders are selling out their own people, and most Republicans are selling out Christians, and Christians don't care. So no, you don't deserve a law. Why do you deserve a law? Most Christians are like, Trump, 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 as Trump is selling out your Bible. You don't deserve anything, I don't deserve $5 million because I want it. I got to work for it. So first of all, I don't think you need laws in this country. You just need equality. You need an equal playing field. But if you ask for an equal playing field, they call you racist, sexist, xenophobic, anti-Semitic, climate changing, denial, conspiracy theorist, or whatever, like that's what equality gets you in this country. And I'm not playing the victim. I'm not like, oh, everything's rigged against me. I feel so sad. It is what it is. Like, boo-hoo. I don't care. My life is fine. But it's just like, I'm also not going to just bow down and act like it's completely fair. But, the second you ask for equality, everybody yells at you because nobody wants equality. They want hundreds of billions of dollars. They want reparations. But you thinking about that's hate speech. They want speech laws, but you saying that there should be no speech laws is hate speech. So it's like, like Christians do not deserve speech protection because they're too weak and dumb in this country. And that's just the truth. I'm not saying it because I hate Christians. I love Christians. I like everybody. It's just like this country's toast. And like, that's, this is one thing that I'll agree with certain people on that I disagree with on a lot. Like, America became America because people worked for it. They did certain things. They established certain law. They had to fight, like it's like everybody just wants to sit around and fantasize about what they wish things were. But just like you tell other people in other races, like, oh, that's just not the way it is, though. It's also not the way it is now for Christians. Like, you got to stop coping and be like, well, this is how it could have been. Yeah, but those days are so gone. I am Christian, absolutely, but I'm just not pathetic. So it's like, I'm not going to say I deserve something that I don't deserve. Christians don't deserve any of this stuff because they don't earn it. It's like when 20 million Christians are sitting around fantasizing that Donald Trump is going to like squirt and save the world, why did they deserve special laws for themselves when they're peeing their pants thinking Donald Trump's arresting Chrissy Teigen in an underground water base? Like, no, that's a pathetic person that's going to get conquered, you know? Like, other religions are having a lot of kids, they're not caving. Like, you look at the Middle East, they're not budging at all in their views. Some countries, some are. And like Christian countries are like, Donald Trump's going to save me. It's like, yeah, that's how you lose for sure, you know? And then people are like, oh, it's so hopeless. No, hopeless is lying to yourself. Hopeless is like looking at a politician selling your religion out and being like, he really likes me. That's not hopeful. That's pathetic. You know, hopeful is telling the truth about it. And then like the right things could happen. But, you know, the Republican Party is so like, got all the mega churches are so scammy. You know, it's like probably the best churches are the small ones, sadly. All the big churches, they're like, let's give money to 17 different countries. It's like, yeah, we really deserve stuff. Like, where are the big churches saying real stuff? There's, you know, like they're all like supporting foreign wars and like asking me that Jesus wants me to fund 10 countries, like to spread Christianity or to drop bombs. Like, what are we doing here? Someone said Western Christian nations love gender reassignment surgery. Pretty much. I mean, Christian in quotes for sure. Do I condone Joe Biden giving $8 billion to Iran? I don't condone any American politician giving any money to any country. So the answer is no. But with that, I'm not 100% sure. I believe he unfroze money that we froze. So I don't know that he took your taxpayer dollars and gave it to Iran. I believe he unfroze money that was frozen. That was theirs already. But I don't know if he's giving a dollar to money to Iran. No. $10 to Iran. No. They fund both sides of almost every war. You know, it's like they're funding both sides, you know. Oh, here, Israel, here's money to drop bombs. Oh, Palestine, are you hurt? Here's money for aid. We'll help you. Oh, wait, they just blew up the aid truck. Oh, well. It's like, let me see. It was Iran's money. Yeah, they didn't. This is the problem, though. Like, if you watch Republican media, they're like, Hamas, Iran, Hamas. So all like the boomers are like, Hamas, Iran. Oh, Joe Biden's giving tens of billions of dollars to Iran. He's really not, though. I'm pretty sure he unfroze money that was already theirs. I mean, if you wanted to kept it frozen, sure. You know, that's a point you could make. But like, just it's like Republicans don't even realize that how dumb they're getting. Like, they don't know anything. You watch like a normie Republican page and they're just making crap up that's not even real, you know, just to like yell. Someone said the U.S. is like a prostitute. I mean, we're just getting sucked dry of money, but this is my line in the sand. Suck my money dry if you want. Just don't pass a speech law to stop me from talking about it. If you're going to take hundreds of thousands of dollars and start multiple foreign wars, it's an extra slap in the face to then say, oh, it's hate speech to say that it's even happening. Republicans are passing hate speech laws to stop you from talking about the country that they're giving the most money to. That's disgusting. That's anti-American is an understatement. But Americans don't care. They're stupid. The elites think you're animals, and maybe they're right. Moo, moo. That's all I hear when people get mad at me. They're like, moo, moo. You're like, okay, I'm trying to help, but if that's, you know, someone said lay off the boomers here. It's people my age too, but it's just like pathetic. Like you know, if our party can't even stand up for the First Amendment, then what's the point? I'm not voting. Someone said for Catholics, the very worst sin is despair. Why? I don't have despair. I don't know. Here's what I'll say. I don't know if you're talking about that, but I would say when I say this stuff, do I sound like I have despair? No, I work hard. People, they live vicariously through Donald Trump because they're too weak to actually do anything themselves, or they don't know how, or they don't want to. So it's like they act like they're being loyal, but they're just being pathetic. The second they realize that they're getting lied to, they don't want to tell the truth to themselves. So they lie to themselves and they say, oh, it's despair to not believe in Trump. No, it's despair to believe in him harder than it makes any sense to. Like, that like hopelessness is not being honest. Hopelessness is like, you're hopeless if you look at a politician and you say, oh, he's going to fix it. That's hopeless. So I feel like people spiral because they put so much stake into believing in a politician that they spiral as soon as you say that it doesn't make sense. Like, I have no despair. I'm not sad. I'm not like giving up. I'm just being honest. Like, that I'm an American citizen. I pay too much money in taxes. I pay my fair share. So I'm not just going to pay. I'm like, this is why we're not victims. If you're paying as much taxes as you're paying and you're like, I love politicians who sell out my First Amendment, excuse my language, but you're a fucking idiot. You're pathetic. No wonder the elites think you're pathetic. You are pathetic. You know what I'm saying? Like, someone said Anomaly's trying to start a cult. David, I'm trying to get Republicans to realize that their party's infringing on the First Amendment. It's not a cult. Like, you're so pathetic that you think that that's a cult. Oh, asking an American to believe in their most important amendments, very cultish. Gah! Fucking animal. No wonder the elites think you're animals. You're like, moo, moo. I pay too much in taxes. I just, every time tax season comes around, I feel a certain way. I pay my fair share. So what? I'm paying taxes to fund foreign countries and then make it illegal for me to talk about it while Republicans are infringing on my religion and putting Jesus in a hate speech law. I'm sorry, but you're pathetic. Like, no wonder why this country is falling apart. You think just liberals are pathetic? Listen to the Republicans. They're like, it's so culty to believe in the First Amendment. Whatever happens to this country, you guys deserve it. It's like, you get what you deserve. How could you not see this? Are you that dumbed down that you don't like that? There's no stand to keep the most important amendment. Imagine being a Christian and not being against hate speech laws against the First Amendment that include Jesus. Why is your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ in the hate speech laws? You fucking idiots. 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 Christians don't get that. Why is the name of your Lord and Savior in the hate speech laws? You support those? Fucking idiots. Okay? Sorry. It's fucking insane. Christians are so stupid in this country. They're supporting politicians who are passing their Lord and Savior's name in hate speech laws, and they don't even have an ounce of like, hey, let me say something about that. They're like, oh, I love him. I'm a pathetic man, but I wear red hats. Fucking pathetic. And I don't care anymore. I saw what they did during the pandemic. I saw what they'll do to you guys. They'll treat you like animals. Like, lockdown, get these like, they've already shown you the extent of what they could do. I'm not afraid of the consequences of speaking the truth about that. I'm afraid of a bunch of idiots allowing the country to turn into Europe or Canada, where people start getting arrested for making comedy jokes. That's what happens in a lot of places in Europe. You question history, they throw you in jail. You make a joke, they throw you in jail. You talk about religion, they throw you in jail. You talk about ethnicity, they throw you in jail. That's happening in multiple countries around the world. And you fucking idiots don't even realize that Republicans, including Trump and DeSantis, are passing hate speech laws to turn America into Canada and Europe, and it includes the name of your Lord and Savior in the hate speech law. Wake the fuck up. I can't take any more of this Trump. Fucking morons. And if you don't get this, you deserve whatever is in store for this country. Because as soon as America loses the First Amendment, it's over. It's all over. And they're laughing at you right now. They're sending hundreds of billions of dollars to multiple foreign countries while they're passing hate speech laws. So you can't criticize the leader of Ukraine based on certain characteristics of him. You can't criticize the other country that they're giving. Who's going to rebuild Ukraine? BlackRock? Can't talk about that too much because that might be considered hate speech now under these new hate speech laws. Do you guys not get it? Trump. Shut the fuck up. No wonder they think you're animals. Hard pill to swallow, but true? Of course it's true. And I wonder how, like, I talk to people in Canada and Europe, and it's like, how are people so pathetic there? I don't understand it, but how is the MAGA movement ignoring this? How does nobody care? Because it's an election season. It's this, it's that. It's always something, isn't it, guys? Yeah, maybe that's part of how they do it. There's always something else to talk about or think about. Not the First Amendment, not the Second Amendment, not the Fourth Amendment, just not the money supply, none. Inflation's so high. Yeah, because both presidents printed trillions of dollars. And now it feels like, I hope it's not true because I like this country. I hope they could turn it around. But it feels like it's a sinking ship and everyone's just robbing us because they know it's going down and you don't even realize it. Or you do and you just think it's Biden or something. I don't know. But someone said anomalies cussing. Yeah, I shouldn't, but it's like I'm trying, wake up. You can't even support the First Amendment. I'm gonna use it while I have it because it's not gonna be here for very long. So I might as well use it now. Get a few French words in there, if you know what I'm saying. It's just like a joke. I just feel, here's what makes me so disgusted. Like I said, I'm not getting into specifics, but I pay my fair share in taxes. I paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes, and I don't have it like that where I just need to be giving away hundreds of thousands of dollars to the government. But in general, I'm paying that much money to fund multiple foreign wars as my fucking scammer party, as I'm getting hundreds of thousands of dollars stolen from me by the government. My fucking scammer party, including scammer ass Trump and scammer ass DeSantis, are passing hate speech laws to limit what I could say about the country they're sending hundreds of billions of dollars to. It's fucking insane. Either I need to speak about this or I'm just going to walk around on all fours and just moo because that's what I am, an animal, a slave. So I got to figure it out. Am I a slave? Let me know. Then, I'll stop working tomorrow, walk around on all fours. And when you say hi to me, I'll just go, moo. Why are you doing that? Oh, because I'm just an animal. What do you mean? Well, I pay hundreds of thousands of dollars of taxes to fund wars against my own interests and my religion. And then my own party that's supposed to be Christian and conservative are passing hate speech laws to prevent me from talking about where my money's going. So might as well just be honest with everybody and just, walk on all fours and moo, because either I'm going to tell the truth about this and be an American, or I'm just an animal. So figure it out. If everyone's too stupid in my party, maybe it's time to just retire and just walk around on all fours. But while I could walk on all twos and be a man, I'm going to do it. It's that simple. So someone said war is racket. Yeah, but this is like next level. I'm not saying war is good. War is crazy. It's not good. With that being said, the only thing crazy about your party and your country funding multiple wars against your own interests is your country funding multiple wars while they sell out your freedom of speech to prevent you from talking about the wars. That's what they're doing in this country. And it's not just Democrats, it's Republicans. Everything that Democrats do with Ukraine, Republicans are doing with Israel. And they're going even further. I don't believe Democrats are pushing legislation to say that it's anti-Ukrainian to talk about Ukraine, but Republicans are doing that with Israel. They're disgusting. They're beyond controlled opposition. Trump is a vaccine, pharmaceutical, socialist, Bolshevik scammer. DeSantis is a little sneaky boy, and all of them are a bunch of scammers except for Thomas Massie. And nobody cares because Republicans are pathetic, So let me know. Is anyone going to care about the First Amendment? No. I'll walk around on all fours and just moo because that's what I am. I'm not a free citizen. I don't have free speech. I'm a cow, at that point. I exist to walk around, moo, give my money to people and then not be allowed to talk about it. This is not a free country. This is not America. This is the United States of Scamerica. But, I'm just being honest. Someone said moo or ba. Either one will work. Sheep, cattle. Rand Paul is great. He's okay. Someone said the only solution is when we decide we're no longer going to play the game. The solution is simple. If even half of the Republican Party noticed this and communicated it peacefully, it would be over. But they don't. It's a bunch of cattle. Oh, look, the Trump rallies are bigger than the Biden rallies. Wow, look at the Biden rally. It has 50 sheep, and the Trump rally has 5,000 sheep. It's not any better. You guys are still like, is anyone there saying a single thing about this? No, they're like, oh, he's gonna grizzly. Yeah, oh yeah, for sure he is. I'm talking my shit. The IRS could take my money. I'm gonna talk my shit, or else I'm not free. The debt has increased by 75% in 7 years. Dude, Trump imploded the economy in 2020, and Republicans are so dumb they think that he's going to fix the economy that he imploded. I hope this isn't true because I like this country and I don't want to be poor. But it seems like the ship is just sinking, so they're just raiding it. It would be like if your boy had this really nice ship with billions of dollars on it and it's sinking, and you just jumped on the ship and stole all his money and went on a smaller boat, and then his ship sank. And he's like, well, I thought you were going to help me. You're like, no, dumbass, I'm taking your money. Like, that's what it seems like they're happening. They don't even care about what they're doing anymore because they're just sucking all the money out. And the hate speech laws are for, in my opinion, one, they're going to push it further, but also when things get crazy, look at the history of Bolshevikism or any ism, communism. It's like they need speech laws to prevent people from saying stuff when shit gets bad. They did it with the pharmaceutical industry with the lockdowns. They made criticism of lockdowns pseudo illegal. Facebook wouldn't allow you to talk about it. New Jersey wouldn't allow you to protest. The feds were doing some weird Gretchen Whitmer thing to try to make it look like all anti-lockdown protesters are terrorists. You know, I mean, like they already did this with the COVID thing. Can't criticize pharma, can't criticize lockdowns. We're going to try to basically set some people up and say that, you know, Republicans are trying to get Gretchen Whitmer. So then we could say that all anti-lockdown protests are terrorists. They set you up with the great vaccine scammer and a bunch of doofuses go and follow the vaccine salesman to the Capitol. They set you up. Now they have that narrative that they couldn't get with the Gretchen Whitmer plot. Everybody acts like Trump's some hero when he probably purposely set you up. It's all such an obvious joke at this point. And it's like listening to my peers, I'm like, are these people stupid or fake? Because it's like they're just constantly running Republicans in circles that make no logical sense. It's just like, oh, Hamas. It's like, yeah, Hamas sucks. Okay, so because Hamas sucks, you're going to let Trump pass a hate speech law that includes your Lord and Savior in it? Like, you know, and that whole crisis king thing. Listen, I don't care who says what, this and that. So like if, you know, if a troll says Allah Akbar on Twitter, are you going to then pass a law that says nobody could say it anymore because it's hate speech? I mean, I understand that there's a dynamic that they try to do that already with terrorism, but it's like with Crisis King, they're basically like slow rolling the, oh, that's anti-Semitic. Oh, Crisis King, that's anti-Semitic. It's not the phrase that's anti-Semitic. It's how you said it. You know, it's just, well, and then we'll all out Jesus. Oh yeah, we'll put that in a hate speech law. Oh, and then next thing you know, it's like you can't even talk about Jesus. You know, it's going to be illegal. It already kind of is illegal to preach Jesus's teaching. Someone said, "Careful, bro. Shut up. You be careful." Someone said everyone's taking money from AIPAC. Yeah, but you can't talk about it because that's hate speech. It's like, be careful. Yeah, be a slave, be a cow. You know what I'm saying? Like walk around on all fours. If you're not, you know, if you're not man enough to say something about the First Amendment, stop pretending to be. When you walk around town, walk around on all fours and say moo. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no sense in putting on a MAGA hat or being a patriot and, you know, be like, careful. Yeah, careful ends you up in a lockdown. Careful ends you up in a slave state where the border's open and both presidents suck. Like that's what being careful does, you know? Yeah, be careful. Be fake. Just go along like everybody else. What should I do? Quit? Join a corporation that forces me to get an mRNA vaccine in my veins in order to keep my job? Oh yeah, that's real safe. That sounds like a real safe option for me. Yeah, let me just go back to the safe world where you need to inject yourself with 3 mRNA vaccines in order to like, you know, fit in. It's like I don't want any part of that. Someone said we're getting closer and closer to what the Soviet Union was. Yeah, and Trump and DeSantis are in on it. So when Republicans figure that out and say it, then things will change. Until then, they're just going to run you back and forth. You know, and this is my question too, because I'm not really sure. I'm being patient this year, but with Trump, the question is like, are people ever going to wake up if he wins? Are they going to notice? If he loses, are they just going to run circles around him? I don't think people are ever going to like wake up to this reality, you know, like it's like, I feel like just like liberals are like permanently brain damaged from like the anti-Trumpness. I feel like people that like Trump are permanently damaged. Like if Trump wins, they're never going to figure it out. They're going to like make excuses. He's got a plan. And then if he loses, it might be even worse because then they're going to be like, oh, you got cheated. And then they're never going to figure it out. The election is already decided. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's decided for Biden. The same people are coming together and buying out both sides. And just like Trump did last time, he's going to do the same thing. He's going to hire the swamp. He's going to pass the speech laws. He's going to put on a show. They're going to persecute him. You're going to like, he's the perfect circus clown, because it's always like they're persecuting him. Then he's doing this and you're not paying attention. And then he signs this bill, but he had to, but he didn't mean to, but he listened to this advisor, but it wasn't him, but he sold the vaccine, but he had to, but he's saving the world. You know, like the plot never ends for both sides. He's the star of the show. He's either the hero or the villain, but someone said, I've lost friends because they didn't want me mentioning certain words through messenger text. I mean, it depends what you're talking about, though. I'm not trying to have Fed chats with people either saying stupid shit. So, I mean, I wouldn't, the truth is fine, but like sometimes, I don't know, people acting Feddy in chats. It's like, I'm not trying to talk to people acting weird. But I don't know what you're referring to. Someone said, I remember Alex Jones praising Trump over the Israel stuff. I don't know. I don't listen to Alex anymore. I've seen him play both sides of that conversation. How can I book a social media marketing consultation? DreamRareBiz.com. DreamRareBiz.com. I haven't checked my emails in a while, so I apologize. I have a lot of like open business negotiations that I've just been ignoring. Someone said, Anomaly, talk about Thomas Massie calling the speaker to resign. I saw that. Thomas Massie's the only good Republican. They all suck except for Thomas Massie. And with the river to the sea chant, it's not a chant that I use. I'm not going to say it's appropriate. Like Israel will chant that. Palestine will chant that. They both want the land. I'm not in the business of telling either of them to stop saying words about rivers. To me, like I wouldn't stop Israel for saying it. I wouldn't stop Palestine for saying it. I wouldn't. To me, that like I wouldn't police that personally. Both sides use it. With that being said, just look at your government. It's not that hard to figure out. They can't build a wall. They can't fix the cities. They can't do anything. They could send money to foreign countries, and every Republican, every single one except for Thomas Massie, everyone in the House voted to condemn from the river to the sea. Only on one side, though, not on the other one. If you're going to condemn it, be like, okay, if it's genocidal this way, it's genocidal that way. It's either a genocidal chant or it's not a genocidal chant. If you think it's genocidal, then condemn it both ways. But even if you condemn it, what does condemning do? I condemn words. You're the Congress. You're printing trillions of dollars. What is a condemnation of words going to do, you freaking idiots? I'm condemning words. Bro, get back to work. Fix the border and print the money and do something with it. It's like condemning words with Congress. Like they're not there to condemn words. Condemning words doesn't mean to do anything. But sometimes they go further than condemnations, and they literally pass hate speech laws that go way further than that. So it's like, dude, it's so obvious what's going on. It could not possibly be more obvious, And I'm not a fearmonger, but in America, the time is running out for people to figure out what's going on. Like, I don't know how much longer you have. Like, I'm not saying it's like forever ruined, but it's like, I don't know. It's not looking very promising at this point, but like, it's not even going to be legal to notice very soon. So like, if you can't notice within the next 5 years, like this country's toast. It's so obvious. So obvious. No, not obvious because of Trump or whatever. It's crazy. Someone said the more international you go, the more you have no idea where the money goes. Of course. If they're doing stuff in America, it's easy to steal money or waste money. They do it all the time. But when you send it overseas, of course, if you send $1 trillion or $100 billion to Zelensky, where does the money go? You're giving it to a foreign country. And I'm not the analyst of corruption, but they've been named by multiple media organizations as one of the most corrupt countries in the world before the war started out. I'm not saying that, they did. So it's like you're handing $100 billion or $500 billion to this country, and you're saying they're going to give it to these people, that people, this organization. Like now it's out of your hands. It's in the hands of the country. You understand? Of course, it's so like whenever they give it to another country, you're paying for God knows what, whatever they want or whoever they want, because it's not, once it leaves your country's hands into the hands of another country, it's not your money anymore. Someone said anomaly works for the Democrats. Listen to what I'm saying in your little pea brain, okay? The First Amendment, Republicans are supposed to defend it. Republicans are the opposition to the corrupt Democrats. The Democrats suck on almost every topic. They're not your friend. They're the obvious opposition. Who is your side? If you're saying that, if your little pea brain got you to type those words with your little pea hands, then you're probably a Republican, right? You vote Republican. You think that they're the better choice. If your own party is infringing on the First Amendment and passing hate speech laws, you don't have a dog in the race. If they're infringing on the Second Amendment, which Trump did, and the Fourth Amendment, which Trump did, you don't have a dog in the race. If you can't get your little pea brain to grow a little bit to figure out, I can't allow the opposition party, my party, to infringe on the First Amendment, because then we're screwed either way, then you're screwed either way. It's not a Democrat talking point. Like, your brain is so fried, you think if Democrats sell out the First Amendment, I'm mad. If Republicans do it, I'm mad at the people who tell me that it's happening. You get it? Like, that's how people are on the right, though. It's like pointing it out. They get more mad at you for pointing it out than they get for their politicians to sell it out. Who paid you to say that? Who do you think pays people to say this stuff? No one. They blacklist you, and they pay politicians hundreds of millions of dollars to do the other thing. Every politician that says they stand with a foreign country, they're getting paid. Like, literally, you could see $50,000, $100,000, like lobbyist organizations just throwing money at them. And they're like, who paid you to say that? I'm not getting paid to say this. They're getting paid to do it. You think Trump just woke up and said, here, let me infringe on the First Amendment and put the word Jesus in a hate speech law against Christians? No, he gets money. They hand him a bill, and Trump has his little sleazebag business face on. He signs all the bills. Oh, Bill Gates. Oh, executive order for flu vaccine. Sure. Yeah. Sell out my people. Sure. Print trillions of dollars. Sure. He doesn't. He's just like a character, a character that you're obsessed with. So Democrats I don't want them to win. It's just like, what does it mean to win if my party can't even stand up for the First Amendment? That's my line in the sand. I'm not going to the voting booth. You can. I'm not. I don't want to support a party, and I'm not inspired to vote for somebody that's selling out the First Amendment. And specifically, not just selling out the First Amendment, including the name of my Lord and Savior in the hate speech law. They're basically there's an anti-Christian hate speech phrase where you're not allowed to have biblical discussions. And some chick on my Twitter feed was like, oh, what does it say? Like, and she read the hate speech law. She's like, oh, you want to say that? And I'm like, well, I want Christians to be able to debate that interpretation of the Bible, because most Christians believe that is true biblically, but there are discussions about it. But we live in America, so you should be allowed to be on either side of the discussion. It's like they were openly admitting that they were totally fine with outlawing parts of the Bible. Like, oh, that's it. It's like, well, yeah, that's a problem. No law should protect any specific religion, but they do, though. I get what you're saying, yes, but they do. And Trump is in on it, and DeSantis is in on it. So how long are Republicans going to take to figure this out? They might never figure it out. That's why, like, in general, I don't even care. Like, I made an Instagram video the other day. It's like, politics is so stupid. Everybody's so fake. Nobody wants to hear this stuff. What's the point? Like, covering these stories. Hey guys, Trump walked into a bodega. Whoa, like, dude, what are you, like 5 years old? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you need a friend or something? You need a hobby? You want to watch a sport or something? Like, they say watching sports is the Roman circus. You're better off watching a sport, knowing it's a sport, than looking at a picture of Trump walking into a bodega and being like, wow, that's so cool. Wow, a photo op at a store. Wow. It's like, it's like a bunch of 5-year-olds. It's okay to infringe on the First Amendment, but as long as you take a picture in a bodega, mouth drooler level stuff. Someone said Trump keeps asking the feds to raise the interest rates to zero, or to put the interest rates at zero. Well, the thing with, I'm not an economic genius, but the thing with what Trump does, he does a lot of short-term things. He wants the Fed, and I get that he could use his leverage, but he constantly wants the Fed to do things that look good short-term and blow up the economy long-term. There's always a trade-off with the interest rates and where you put, like, you get quick gains for long-term or pain now for longer success away from inflation. Like I'm not, it's not my top expertise, but I understand the dynamic of it. And like Trump is always trying to do things that make him look good. Like, oh, do this to the interest rate, do that. But then it destroys the economy over time. Like even with what he did, he blew up the economy during COVID, left office, and then blamed Biden for imploding it. Biden's not helping. It's not like he's freaking Milton Friedman or anything. The dude's an idiot. He's only making it worse. But the thing is, it's not like if Trump got in office, it all would have crumbled anyway. Like everything happening now would have happened. The only reason to really even vote for Trump would be border security. I mean, that Trump clearly can do better on. He should. It's not, Biden and Mayorkas are doing the lowest of the low. Like it should, anybody, like a blind deaf person that can't even speak English could do a better job doing border security if they cared. So it's like, that's a reason to vote for Trump. But yeah, he's not really like who people think he is and who he is. It doesn't really add up. It's like, yo, change the interest rates. Like you can do that and the economy can boom for 3 or 4 years or 2 years, but then we're going to eat shit for like 7 years. Like, I'm not saying I trust the bankers, but I don't. But even some of these people have a little more common sense. Like, with interest rates and all this stuff, I'm not saying it's good. I'm not like Jerome Powell's your best friend, but they have a tough decision to make at the Fed. It's like they printed too much money over the last 20 years, especially during COVID and especially with the foreign wars and the omnibus bills. They're printing like more money than they've ever printed and they just won't stop. So once you do all that sort of stuff, you can't just lower the interest rates because then it's not going to work. Like if you print that much money and you screw up the money supply, you're going to hurt somewhere. Like it's not like you can just do that and everyone's going to be rich. It doesn't work that way. So either you raise the interest rates, screw people over in some ways, but then also over time you could like lower them slightly, or you completely lower them and everyone eats shit. So it's like anyone that's like, oh, just lower the interest rates completely. It's like temporary gains, stocks go up, whatever, but it's not, you gotta suck it back in. Like the money needs to come back in and they need to balance the books. Even though there's debt, there's still an equation to be had. So, you could like bully the Fed and to lower interest rates, but it's not like, oh, you just lower them to zero. It's not that easy. Like, if it were, they would just do it every 2 seconds. But Trump has like an elementary school level thinking with this stuff. It's like, make me look good, Oh, it's my vaccine. Let's rush it out before the election so I look like I did it. I'm the vaccine man. I'm the one who did it. It's like, like that's how he thinks about everything. He's not concerned about you or your health or anything. It's like rush the vaccine as fast as possible so I look good for the election and I get credit for it. That's how he thinks. And then everyone's like, oh, he saved the world. If you want to tell yourself that. Someone said lowering interest rates help add to usury. Someone said 0% interest rate for these investors for too many years got spoiled. They always manipulate the interest around certain political parties and elections. Yeah, and I'm sure if you do that and you have foresight of it, you can make money quickly. You know what I'm saying? And then long term, if people don't know when it's going to drop out again, then they lose. But if you have foresight of how the markets are going to go up and down, then you can make money. But yeah, I mean, someone said it's like we can have a great economy as long as you lose your right to free speech and have no privacy. But this is my question, and I don't know the answer to this, but it's like with Trump, the economy was good for 3 years, and then it was the worst it's ever been, in my opinion. I've never seen a bigger error than COVID. And I'm not blaming Trump. I'm just saying it happened during his term. He was pretty much zero opposition to it. In fact, he tried to kick Thomas Massie out of the party for being right about it. Do you notice a pattern? Thomas Massie, the only one who votes against condemning hate speech. Thomas Massie, the only one against the lockdown. It's almost like he's the only one to be right about almost everything, and everyone else is constantly wrong and calling him names. Interesting. But anyway, is the economy going to be better under Trump? It depends who he is. If he's really going to try to make it better, possibly, but if he's going to try to lower interest rates to make himself look better temporarily, and then he's going to play along to the next scam, then he's not better. Because like every time you go to a MAGA event or some sort of like patriot thing, you always have these presidents. They always say 4 years of a great economy. I've watched like 10 different speakers when I used to go to events and get booked. They'd be like, Trump had 4 years, 4 years, 4 years. And it's like he had 3 years. And then the fourth year, he printed too much. The lockdown printing money bonanza was terrible, but like it's like fake history. He didn't have a good economy. It's the quarterback who threw 4 touchdowns in the first 3 quarters and then 10 interceptions in the fourth quarter. No one says, "Oh, what a great 3 quarters." They say, "Oh, he blew it. He sucks. He lost." That's Trump, but it's whatever. I know I sound salty today, but it's just true. Someone said after he fired Steve Bannon, his administration was over. Maybe. Let's see. Printed for who? I don't know. Look up who got the money. I guess you got what, $1,200, $1,600? How much did every corporation and industry get? I don't know. How much did the pharmaceutical industry get? Someone said he didn't print the money. Why are people on Facebook so brainwashed? It sucks because it's my biggest audience. I have to just play stupid or else everyone gets mad at me. You don't think Trump printed the money? I mean, what are you suggesting? The Federal Reserve did, or like, does 2020 not exist in your head or whatever? Because like it was, like, oh, it's everyone but him. Okay, when he does something right, it's him, but when something goes wrong, it's not him. I got it. Let's hear. How did he not print the money? I'm not trying to curse, but it's like, dude, I'm not a slave. Like, just like if this country's so stupid, I mean, maybe the world is this stupid, but like if this country's so stupid, let me know. Are Republicans this stupid? Because I don't feel like paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes to be a slave. So like, if I'm gonna pay this much money, I'm gonna talk my shit. That's how I feel. Like, you can't give my money to foreign countries and pass speech laws against the Constitution to stop me from talking about it, because then I'm just a slave, and I'm not going to pretend like I'm not and wear a MAGA hat and go to like, it's a joke, It's like, it reminds me of like those Trump supporters who went to a CPAC in 2022, and it was in Florida, and they had to wear a pharmaceutical mask in order to walk through the hallways at like a Marriott or something. And it's like, are you not embarrassed? You're in Florida in 2022 wearing a pharmaceutical mask because CPAC is making you, because Marriott's making them. It's like, what's the, oh, I'm a patriot. Can I take a picture with you? Yeah, I'm the patriot fighting for freedom. Aren't you embarrassed? As Sebastian Maniscalco says, aren't you embarrassed? It's so stupid. So crazy. Let's see if that guy answered. Go to Costa Rica. I'm not planning on it, but I mean, I don't know. I'm getting kind of annoyed because I like the First Amendment, but if we don't have that, then I'll explore my options. I'm not trying to leave, but it's like, that's kind of what I'm here for. The First Amendment, obviously my family, but it's with the country I'm from. I'm loyal to it, but to be honest, it's like my family came from Europe at one point. They fled Europe for a better opportunity. So if I have to, I don't want to flee. I'm just saying, like, are Republicans so dumb that they can't preserve the best part of the Constitution? Then what's the point, Trump, someone said Trudeau spent $1 million implementing vaccine passports. It's disgusting where our tax money goes. I don't even want to think about it, because anytime it's tax season and I have to pay, and then I'm just thinking about what they're doing with my tax money. They hate me. They hate my race. They hate my religion. They're selling out everything that I like under hate speech laws. I mean, not everything I like, but just like they're passing hate speech laws. They're funding multiple wars to turn the world into San Francisco. It's just like, it's just gross, Then they're giving the money to the pharmaceutical industry. They're pushing mandates. Like, it's disgusting. I don't mind funding national parks and freedom, but we're not funding freedom. We're funding a regime that hates everything about us and is trying to subvert our rights. And the opposition leader is in on it too. And nobody realizes. It's frustrating, Here's the low IQ P brain again. Why has Anomaly never criticized Biden? Open your eyes, folks. I've talked about it multiple times here. I'll slow it down since your brain is probably pea-sized. I'll talk really slow, okay? Okay. So let's say there's a basketball game, okay, P-Brain? There's a basketball team, and your team is the New York Knicks, and you're playing the Los Angeles Lakers, right? The Republican Party's the Knicks. We're on the Knicks. Okay, P-Brain? Listen. If 4 out of 5 of your players are working secretly for the other team and they're scoring on your own basket, it's literally impossible to ever win the game. The bigger threat is not the fact that the other team's trying to beat you. Ready, P-Brain? I'm going to break it down even dumber for you. Dumb it down for dumb boy or dumb girl. Biden is the Lakers. He's the other team. He's not your friend. Biden sucks. He's doing almost everything wrong. The border's open. I'm criticizing Biden. He's complete garbage on almost every topic. He's horrific, okay? That's Joe Biden. But he's the other team. You know that Joe Biden sucks. You're not going to vote for him. You don't like him. He sucks. If your team is working for the other team, you have a 0% chance of winning. You get it, P-Brain? If our team was really our team, we have like a 50% chance of winning. If our team is not our team, the election's already over. It doesn't matter if Trump wins, if he's infringing on the First Amendment, hiring the deep state, and getting money from donors to sell the cabinet out again. That's why I talk about the right more than the left, because an intelligent person realizes it's going to be 40 years of this stuff, P-Brain. You understand? If you think that Ronald Reagan is so great, but then he kind of doesn't do that much. And then George Bush is so different from Clinton, but then he actually does worse. And then, Trump is so different from Obama, and it never ends. The little game that they're giving to people like you, it never ends. And you can't figure out why. And then you have to cope with why it happened. 99% of conservative influencers, they can't bring themselves to tell the truth, to say that Trump took money from the pharmaceutical industry. That's a fact. And he sold his cabinet out. It's a fact. No, he didn't mean to, says you. He didn't mean to hire 99% of the swamp. It just happens. No, he took the money like everybody else, and then he sold the cabinet out to the people who gave him the money. He's talking about one of his biggest donors who's raising $50 million at his house. He's talking about hiring him to his cabinet. Do you think he's hiring that guy who's putting on a $50 million fundraiser at his house because he's the most qualified for the job, or because he's paying Trump? It's the same reason that Joe Biden's cabinet's filled with the swamp. It's like he's not a real person. He's just a character. So that's why I talk about that more than Biden. This is why Republicans don't even realize that Trump is passing speech laws, because they're like, look at Biden. I'm tired of it. I pay too much taxes for you dummies to sell out my Constitution. I'm talking my shit. If they're going to take tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars from me over the course of the last couple of years, I'm going to talk my shit. I'm not a slave. I'm not an animal. I said this during the lockdown too. Same statement, different policy. That's why I didn't comply like everyone else to the dumbest things. Everyone's like, ooh, it's like, I'm not a slave. I'm not an animal. The reason they treated everybody like animals and slaves is because you act like animals and slaves. If you act like an animal, you deserve to get treated like one. You know what I'm saying? If the whole country respected themselves, over 70% of people got the vaccine. They're treating you like animals, and people act like animals. I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's like this all ends when you stop playing along. I've told this story before. It's been a while. I went to a grocery store. This was in 2022. Guys, I live in a conservative area. 2022 in a red area, okay? And Gavin Dummy Newsom is like, oh, let's try the lockdowns again. Bro, go fuck yourself. It's been over 2 years. We were just open for a year, and this fucking idiot, excuse my language, this fucking idiot does another lockdown, and the fucking idiots in my area start playing along to it. I'm like, are you guys fucking animals? So I'm at a store after 8 months of nobody bothering me, and these little fucking lemmings start talking shit to me again, the stupid employees. I'm at a food market. I got $50 worth of food. I got hot food that I plan on eating right now because I'm hungry. And this little lady comes up to me in her little slave mask, and she's like, I can't hear you. What did you say? You said, what are you, like a duck or something that escaped from the farm? I can't hear you. She, lady, I don't speak slave. What are you saying? She, she was a white woman. Okay, so I could say that it's not racist. But anyway, she's lady, I don't speak animal. Put your mask on or you can't buy the food. No, and then she goes, let me get you a mask. And I say, listen, lady, I'm not an animal. I'm not a slave. I'm not a peasant. It's been 2 years. We were just walking in this supermarket 2 weeks ago with no mask. Why do you have a mask on? You look like a slave. And then I start yelling at the whole store. You guys are fucking insane. We were walking around for a year. Gavin Newsom says to put a mask on, and you guys just put it on? This is pathetic. She goes, you can't buy the food. I said, lady, I'm fucking getting this food, whether you like it or not. You better go get your manager, okay? Because I'm not moving. She probably pissed her pants, goes and gets some weirdo with these dead eyes. He looked at me. I couldn't see his face. I just see his like little soulless eyes. He looked like some soulless doctor or something. Just you could see the depths of sorrow in his eyes. And he goes, ugh. He goes, listen, sir, just stand outside. If you stand outside, I'll give you the food for free. So just by being the only man in the whole store, I'm now about to get $50 of food for free for not being a pussy. And because I'm also very ethical, I said, I'm paying. You take my money. I'll stand outside. You could ring it up for me. But it was like $50 something. I gave him extra money. I was like, you will give it to me for free because you're such a beta and you're such a cuck. So you're like, pissing your pants trying to give me free food because I'm a man. But anyway, I'm like, this is what I am. Here's the money. I'm not asking for a freebie. I'm just asking you to stop harassing me. And then he comes out and gives me all the food. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry about that. I don't believe in it. And I'm like, bro, the whole reason it continues is because everybody just goes along with this shit. That's why it continues. It's that easy to say no. What's the solution? Civil war? No, you fucking idiots. That's the Fed trap. That's the Donald Trump fucking scammer, Tim Pool, beanie bunker, smelly, dirty, stinky reused beanie bunker narrative. No, the solution is simple. Just stop being such a fucking slave. And then your whole life changes. Like, it's that easy. Why did no one else do that in my entire town? I don't live in a blue area. Everyone's fucking pathetic in this world. And I don't even care anymore. That's why I get to live the life I live. And that's why everyone else lives what they live. I'm not comparing, but it's like, I don't live an average life because I'm not an average person. And I'm not saying I'm so special, but it's like people make me a lot more special than I am by being so pathetic all the time. Like, I'm not doing anything that heroic. I'm just saying no. With Donald Trump, I don't believe in passing a hate speech law that includes my name, Lord and Savior. It's the same concept. If every Republican said no to Trump, he'd have to stop doing it the same way I got my food in the supermarket. But it doesn't stop because everyone's fucking pathetic. I don't know what to say. Like, I don't care about the First Amendment. What are you, an animal? You know what I'm saying? It's like a bunch of people acting like slaves. If I'm going to live in this country and I'm going to pay these taxes, I'm going to talk my shit, okay? I'm paying hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of the last couple of years in taxes so they could bomb foreign countries, turn Christian countries into San Francisco, make Africa gay, spread sodomy in Palestine, and bomb a bunch of people and then say that I'm not allowed to have an opinion about where my money's going because that's hate speech. Oh, yeah. Be careful. I'm not a slave. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to live a slave. If I have to live a slave, it's time to move to a different country or just do something else because I'm not a slave and I'm never going to be a slave. And if everyone felt that way, then it would end tomorrow. But everyone acts like slaves, talks like slaves, walks like slaves, and acts like animals. And then they're like, why is the left doing this? It's so gross. So it is what it is, I took a gamble with my life and it paid off and it is what it is. But it's like, I don't have an off button. I don't have a pathetic button to push where I just turn pathetic. It doesn't happen. So, I understand the risk of saying things or whatever, but it's like, there's also a risk of just being a slave. You know what I'm saying? Cause like, where does that get you? Oh no, they're taking this away. Of course, when a population's that weak, that's the destination. You know what I'm saying? If you act like an animal, don't be surprised when you get to the butcher's house. You're on a conveyor belt right now. Like, walk the other way or end up there. Like, that's not safe to me. I don't think it's a safe route. I'll play it safe. What, sit and take a nap on the conveyor belt? Yeah, I'll pass. Thanks for the offer, but It's a bigger risk for sure. Someone said, and taxation is theft. It is, but I'm constantly being robbed. All I ask is if I'm going to be robbed by the government, rob me without taking my First Amendment. If you're going to rob me of a bunch of money and then also rob me of the First Amendment, it's like, okay, dude, you know, it's like you could rob me, but then if you try to lock me in my house and put a pharmaceutical mask on my face, all right, you're doing a little much, okay? You know, can you just rob me and then I could just go to a national park or something and pretend like I paid for it? You know, I don't like the whole lockdown, pharmaceutical vaccine mandate, you know, like speech law. It's a little much for me. Normal robbery, still annoying, but it's like, it's not that bad. Why should people who don't pay taxes get to vote? Well, that's a discussion that people have. I mean, at one point it was landowners and stuff, but there's a lot of people that think that women shouldn't vote. There's a lot of people that think that only landowners should vote. There's people that think that people who don't pay taxes should vote. And then on the other side, there's people who think illegal immigrants who aren't even citizens should vote. So, you know, that's your spectrum of belief in America. You got people that want less people to vote, people that want more people to vote. Me, I don't even care really, because whether everybody votes or no one votes, that's not going to change the fact that both parties are sold out. Like that, you know, it's like that's what's going on. It's hard to even like make an analogy outside the basketball one. It would be like if I knew the script writers of WWE and it's like you knew what was going to happen. Like it was going to look like it was really close. They were going to fight for 40 minutes and then like Logan Paul was going to beat like The Rock or something. And it's like you work for the WWE. It's obvious. Like it's all over the blueprints everywhere. And you're like, dude, they're both working together to pretend like they're going to win. And like you want The Rock to win. And then I'm telling you that like Logan Paul's going to win. And then The Rock wins. And you're like, oh, or whatever I said happens. You're like, oh, it was rigged. Oh, it's like, dude, it's freaking fake. You know what I'm saying? It's fake anyway. You know, oh, no, dude, The Rock would have beat Logan Paul if the ref didn't cheat. It's already rigged, bro. It's the WWE. Like the election's already been stolen. Whether Trump or Biden wins, it's already been won. You know, you got 4 more years of playing make-believe because with Donald Trump, like eventually people got to wake up, whether he wins or loses. You got 4 more years of clown QAnon, trust the plan man world. Like, you know, like if he gets in, see what he does. Hopefully he crushes. If not, it's time to stop playing make-believe. Even if he's crushing, it's like, what does it mean to crush if we constantly go in the wrong direction? Like what, here's a new idea. Let's go in the right direction. You know? Why can't we go in the other direction? No, we got to just constantly lose everything. That's winning. Why not confront our politicians peacefully but strongly and just say no? Then they'd go the other way. They don't have to. Freaking, what's the loser's name? Mike Johnson. He's like, I'm a wartime speaker. I knew this wouldn't be easy. Sure, bro. Like that's their excuse. We're at war, so now we got to steal more money. You were going to steal the money anyway. Stop lying. You know? Oh yeah, the war. You just really got to give the money and the jets or whatever. And then the whole world hates us because we're funding these wars. And then they tell you they hate you because of your freedom. They hate you because they ain't you. That was never true. I got lied to as well in the 2000s. I mean, I didn't fully believe it because I wasn't Republican at the time. But, you know, people are like, oh, the Middle East hates us because we're so free. No, they hate you because you're giving tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars to foreign countries fighting wars that you don't even know exist because you're not being told about them. So it's like, that's why the world hated us, because we were funding the country in the Middle East that's fighting other countries constantly. That's why they hate us. If we just stayed out of it, no one would really care about us that much. Everybody liked us. Like 50 years ago, everybody liked America. Now, it's not the case, you know, for a multitude of reasons. The media makes us look bad all the time, but also it's like, that's why everyone hates us, you know? It's like, imagine if Russia, we're like, oh, Russia just hates us because we're free. No, I'm pretty sure they hate us because we're funding Ukraine. You know, like it is what it is. Like they're not like, oh, screw America. Like it's like we're funding their neighbor to basically fight them, and hundreds of thousands of people are dying. That's why they hate us. Someone said you take a risk by saying what you want, but also you take a risk by being a slave. So true. Well, this is how I feel because, like, in general, everyone always thinks about other stuff. People who do what I do, I guarantee you, they constantly wish they didn't have to do this. Like, and they're not going to tell you all of them. Some people like it, maybe if you're like super narcissistic. But at the end of the day, like, we all kind of feel what's going on. Like, who wants to be on a cell phone all the time doing this and that? Like, some people just want to be away from it. But at the same time, when you're in another job, then you wish you could do something on your own. There's always the grass is greener on the other side. With that being said, it's like there's a risk to everything. Like you could be like, well, I wish I would have done a safer job. But then a lockdown happens. Your safe job's trying to force you to get a vaccine. You can't go to work. And the government's giving you socialist commie checks while Trump's selling vaccines. And now, I'm sitting home making videos and my job still exists, even though I'm being slightly censored. Like, like things can flip on a dime. But I think the 2020 lockdown really showed me I always took risks, but I'm just saying, like, once I became a different person after the lockdowns, because I realized how crazy it really was. It's like, if that's what they're going to do, then there is no safe route. Doing a safe job is not safe if they're going to lock you down. So then I don't care I don't have that fear that I used to have of like this and that, because it's like, they'll do it to you anyway. You could play it as safe as possible. You could be the nicest person, never argue with your boss, always show up on work, do the right thing for a safe company. You got a 401k, and these scumbags could try to take everything away from you over an mRNA vaccine. It's sad. It's sad that there's military members that they were threatening them, like, you can't get your retirement if you don't do this. Like, that's really screwed up. You got this guy who served our country for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, police officer 40 years, and they can't access their retirements without a pharmaceutical shot. That's demonic. It's so evil what they did. And here's the thing, nobody even talks about it anymore. It's like, oh, well, who cares? I'm not saying you got to think about it every day, but it's like, yeah, I kind of care. And this idea that the Democrats did it, they did it because the Republicans set him up and Trump is in on it. And then he pulls out at the last second. It's like, I didn't mandate it, but I'm proud of it, but I want it, but I like it. But, like Trump was no help during the mandates. He was just running around selling the pharmaceutical vaccine. It's like, it's disgusting what they did. At that point, as a man, as a patriot, I just can't look at Trump the same way. Like, and I'm like, I just think people are so pathetic that like, don't even think about that. Like, you don't remember that? Someone brought it up too, where like they're saying Trump can't visit his son's graduation or something, which is horrible. But it's like millions of people couldn't go to their kids' graduation because you locked the country down. Millions of families suffered. Millions of businesses suffered while you said Sweden should have locked down. Millions of people suffered from the vaccine and the mandates. Not that he did the mandates, but he did everything he could for the pharmaceutical industry to put them in the position to do the mandates. Even if he was president, they were going to still try him on a state and corporate level. And just like the riots, he was going to have no solution for him. So it's like, you got Trump supporters feeling so bad for Trump. It's like, yeah, that sucks. He can't go to his son's graduation. I wish he could. But the amount of families who had to suffer that for the last 3 years that he said little to nothing about, like, okay, everyone's going to do that, but you're just going to never have to face any, like, it's not that I wish it on him, but I just don't feel that bad. When I was locked in my house like a slave, Trump was saying nothing about it, saying the lockdowns were good and flying jets over my house. Here, look at these military jets. Oh, cool. Wow. Thanks, Daddy. And then you go inside and like can't even go to the supermarket without a pharmaceutical mask. But Trump flew jets over your house. Masfiel K. Wow said, Anomaly's a real one. Stay spitting fire, and he's the same in real life. Had the honor of chopping up with him at the Tao Beach last year. One of the only political commentators I still listen to. My man, was that in Vegas? I appreciate you. Tao Beach. Was that Vegas? Where were you the guy that bought me like a hamburger or whatever? We were kicking it for a while. If it's you, I appreciate you. Thank you, my guy. That was fun. Someone said, like the dang video. I don't know. I can't imagine people that pay taxes and they're just like, yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome that we're funding multiple foreign wars and our party's infringing on our First Amendment. That's cool because of the border. It's like, it's not cool though. Saw dollar signs going out. I don't like paying taxes. I'm not going to lie, but it's like, every year it gets crazier and crazier where it's like, where's this going? You're just going to take more and more money and then I'm just going to get less and less things. It doesn't seem like a fair trade-off. Like I pay money so I could be protected by the federal government. I think that's what taxes are supposed to be. Like you pay money and the federal government of America will protect you. Okay, but like what happens if they're not though? What happens if they're trying to set up people who are against lockdowns? What happens when they're passing weird agency things to like literally go after people that actually like the country? Like it's going the wrong way now. Everybody sees it. And I guess like because they think that one president's going to do better, that they don't care. I don't know, but I do care. So I don't know how to, say this another way. I'll get back to not cursing again tomorrow. I apologize. Someone said my unborn grandchildren are in debt. Dude, it's crazy. Like I hope things turn around, but like, I don't know. I don't want to keep talking about the lockdown because people are going to cry and it's going to get boring. But like when things were locked down, I just remember thinking about all the money they were printing and all the stuff. And it's April. And like even most of the Republican Party was like, oh, Trump's got a plan. Oh, like they're not taking really a stand. And I'm just thinking like, dude, this country is toast for like a decade. Like once the damage was done, this is like at least like even if Trump won and did everything right in 2021, 2022, and 2023, which he wouldn't have, but let's just say in an alternate reality, Trump wins, he turns into Milton Friedman and Ludwig von Mises. He does libertarian policies. He completely stops printing money, which he wouldn't have, by the way. He would have printed trillions of dollars as well. Let's just say he did. We're still screwed for a decade off of what happened in 2020. Like economically, we're already done. The hole was dug so deep. It's just like now they're just digging. And it's like, do they have a secret plan I don't know about? Or are they just like robbing us dry? So then when it all falls that they could run away with the money. I feel like they're just milking us dry and trying to run away with the money. But like people are like, oh, I'm going to vote because, the inflation. It's like Trump caused it though. Like literally, But that's the left and right. The Democrats do this and Republicans do that. To be honest, I think Democrats, as horrible as they are, they don't pretend to be like libertarian or conservative. Like they're not pretending to be these things or right wing. Right wing politicians are pretending to be libertarians and conservatives and against all the debt. They do in some cases worse jobs. I'm not a fan of Clinton, but you look at some of like the debt under him, like he did better than most Republicans. And I'm not saying he's a great guy or anything, but it's like Republicans are even bigger scammers in some cases than Democrats. It's not that Democrats are better, but they're not pretending to be better on certain topics. Yeah, they're pretending the economy is good and this and that, but they're not acting like they're libertarians. All the libertarians and people that are into conservative economic policies, they're Republican. Like Republicans pretend to be more conservative, liberals pretend to be more socialist and for the people on the socialist side. So it's like when Republicans blow up the economy even worse than Democrats, it's even crazier because they're pretending to do the opposite. Democrats don't pretend to do that. They say we're into socialist policies, we're into welfare and these sort of things. And Republicans are like, we want to lower the debt, and then they make it crazy. Like Trump was even worse on that. It's just so crazy that people don't see this. I don't get it. It's like because you like his personality. Wow, I've never heard that one before. Obama, Bush, Clinton, every politician ever, Reagan. Like, yeah, liking that. That's why how they get there. Usually, they're likable. Joe Biden somehow slipped through the cracks because he's not likable at all, but the rest of them. Someone said, how can't people see this? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't understand it. But I also didn't understand when I'm in a supermarket in California in 2022 and people have pharmaceutical masks on in a conservative area. I don't get anything anymore. I don't get what other people are saying. I seem crazy because like no one makes sense to me anymore. I log into Twitter and everything people are saying like, oh, look at Trump in a bodega. It's just like, I'm not in the same reality as these people anymore. It's been this way for 4 years, and I don't know how to fit in anymore. I'm like an alien trying to fit in with humans, just doing a bad job. I don't know. I don't even know how to pretend to like understand where they're coming from. I don't get it. So I just talk about what I think. But Someone said income tax is voluntary. Yeah, but it's another one of those things where if you say that and you don't pay taxes for 5 years, the IRS is going to come and get the money. So it's like, it's voluntary. If everyone didn't pay in unison, then maybe they would have to do something. But, the people that say, I don't have to pay income tax, they usually pay, like they'll not pay for 5 years, get in trouble, and then they'll have to pay. Hopefully they have the money saved because they're going to have to pay it. Like, I don't think the IRS is going to miss like 5 years of like, voluntary. I know there's people that are like, no, read this. The U.S. is a corporation, not a thing. And it's like, they're going to get their money. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never heard of anyone successfully not paying for a long time. And I believe anyone who says that, they're only doing it for so long. And then the IRS comes and they say, hey, you owe this many years of taxes, and then they pay. So I don't, I don't believe it, but to each their own. Let me see. They get 60% of every dollar you spend. I don't know about 60, but here's this is starting to bother me as I grow up too, because the thing is, when you make money, you're not safe. You don't get what you make. Like, your income's not your income. So think about all the ways you pay taxes, right? Say you make over the top bracket, whatever that is, 180 or something. Okay. Technically, you're supposed to pay 30 something percent before your business expenses, etc. I mean, that's, if you made 100K or 200K, that's over $70,000, $72,000 that you're supposed to pay in taxes. It's a lot of money. And then it's like, if you buy a house, you pay taxes. If you sell a car, you pay taxes. You buy your car, you pay taxes. You get a house, you have a mortgage, you're paying not just taxes and property taxes, but you're paying the banks for the loan. The loan rates are trash now. So you're paying the banks 6-7%. Everything gets taxed. It's not like, if we just, and I'm not saying I like income tax, but if I just had to pay income tax, it sucks, but it is what it is. But I pay this tax and that tax and buy this tax. Everything's tax. You make a transaction, you buy it, you sell it, you get taxed 15 different times. Like, we're just getting money sucked away at everything. I just bought a car. I'm getting taxed on that. If I sold the car, I'd probably get taxed on that. You buy a house, you get taxed on that. You sell it. Everyone's just taking money all the time in every way. It's like, when I do my taxes, I have to add, because sometimes I forget and probably overpay, but it's like, I'm getting taxed on every transaction on Shopify. I don't know if it's taxed because they're paying tax to the state. I don't know if Shopify is taking a piece of it. PayPal takes this. Like, everyone's taxing everything all the time. It's like everything's just getting, so it's like whatever the piece of the pie you had, by the time you get it and bank it and put it in the bank, you're still getting it stolen from. You buy a house, you still got to pay taxes. You have a savings, you pay taxes on the interest. There's no, like, the money's never yours. They just take it all the time. It's just like, I almost don't even want to make money anymore, because it's like, they're just going to steal it from me. So it's just annoying. You got to make like a shitload, really manage it well. But then even if you bank it, it's like still not your money. It's just crazy. I don't know. Like, yeah, of course, if you save money and have it, like, you get a percentage of it, but it's just uncomfortable. I'd feel better once a year coming together, figuring stuff out and being like, all right, here's 10% to the government. Here's 15% or 12%. I don't know, like something, but like, here's 30%, here's 35%, here's 20% of this. You got to give me $1,000 tax on this. It's just like exhausting. It's just like just getting robbed and beaten up constantly. Like, just take my money and leave me alone. And then they don't leave you alone. And they're like, oh, well, actually, we want to pass speech laws. It's like, all right, dude. Oh, we want to put you in a pharmaceutical mask. We want you to get synthetic mRNA shots. It's like, dude, fuck off. That's why I'm Christian today. It's like, get the fuck off my back for 2 seconds. You tax everything 10,000 times a year. You take this, you take that. Now you want speech laws. Now you want another foreign war. Someone said a house is a huge write-off. Yeah, there's ways to play the system and buy and sell stuff. I understand it. I'm just saying, still, even if you buy a house, you still have to pay taxes on it. When you purchase the house, you pay taxes on it. If you can't afford the house outright, which most people can't, then you take out a loan and you're paying the banks, and the banks technically own your house. And even if you pay off the banks and you own your house, you still don't technically own your house because you're paying the government. It's like, can you not own anything in this world? I believe, maybe I'm wrong, but if you buy out your house, say it's like $1 million house and you bought it out and your family bought it out, leave the person alone, at least for 10 years or something. Like, they got to pay every year just for owning a house, even though they already paid off the banks in the house. it's just a little much on top of all the other taxes. Like it just feels gross. It feels gross to me that you could pay in full for a log cabin in the woods, and they still got to take your money every year. It's just gross to me. It doesn't feel right, but that's the world we live in. Things are not perfect. It is what it is. It's just like, I think no one talks about this stuff because it's like the left and the right. Think about most Republicans. Do they like this stuff? Of course not. But it's like, look at Trump in a bodega. Look at Biden. He's so sleepy. He's so peepee. He's so creepy. He just pee-peed in his creepy pee-pee pants. It's like, that's like the level of like political discourse in this country. It's like Biden pooped himself. He pee-peed in his poo-poo. Trump goes, no, 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 I'm going to beat you. And then Biden goes, come on, Jack, I got hairy legs and the roaches and the kids. And you're like, roaches, kids, legs? Dude, this is getting weird. And Trump's like, oh, he's so creepy. He's so creepy. He goes pee-pee in his poo-poo. And people are like, oh. And I'm like, dude, I'm tired of getting robbed all the time. People are like, oh, you just have Trump derangement syndrome. Oh, you didn't see him pee his pants, and then Trump came in with the ice cream cone, and then Biden had the aviators in the bodega shop, and he handed out the things to the veterans. It's like, cool. It's like Trump bought like a bunch of firefighters pizza. It's like, how about grill some steaks or something? Pizza is the cheapest food you could buy. It's fine, but it's like, you buy a pizza pie for like a kid's soccer game, because all the parents are trying to save money because the kids cost so much money. Buy like a pizza pie. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's like, oh, yo, if you help me move my house, I'll give you a pizza pie. Why? Because it's the only thing you could buy for $17. Like that, that's nice, but it's like, it's Donald Trump. The dude's got billions of dollars. Pizza pie. It's the cheapest food you could buy to feed a bunch of people. Someone said coming from an Italian. Well, here's what I'll say. As an Italian, my Italian family we're not doing pizza at Christmas. We're doing chicken, Parmesan. I'm trying to think like, what did my grandpa used to make? He used this like pasta thing, like we're making like we're making real boy food out here. We didn't eat pizza. Yeah. It was like, but I'm trying to think of the exact type of thing. He'd always make a chicken. He made amazing chicken cutlets. Sometimes he'd make chicken Parmesan. Then he would make these manigut, I think it's called manigut. It's like kind of like lasagna in a circle. And then we'd have other food too, not just Italian food, but he'd always make a few Italian dishes. He's not handing pizza out. I don't even think my Italian grandfather ever even made pizza. I'm not against pizza. I'm just saying like, it's like you show up and give a bunch of, it's not the worst thing. I'm not complaining, but it's like, wow, that's crazy. He did that. It's like, yeah, wow. A sitting presidential candidate spent $17 at a local pizza shop for a photo op. Wow. That's mind-blowingly brave. It's just like, whatever. If I ran for president too, I'd be taking bodega pictures and handing out pizza slices too. I just feel like, grill some steaks with the boys, what I'm saying? Get them some fillets, get them some ribeyes. You got 17 firefighters. I'm sure they'd enjoy a ribeye steak more than a pizza slice, but anything with Trump is what it is. I'd eat a cold McDonald's sandwich with Donald Trump. I don't care. A Wendy's, Chick-fil-A. I'd be slurping down seed oil just to get a photo. No, I'm just kidding. But anti-Italianism, yeah, there's no word for that. It's just like, I don't know. It would be hate speech to demand a word. Anti-Italianism is you can't say, we'll make anti-Italian speech laws. You can't say Italians invented pizza. You're not allowed to say Italians own and even a single pizzeria in America. You're not allowed to say any Italian is loyal to Italy as much as he likes America. Not a single one. You're not allowed to say that Italian people, were mobsters at a certain point and wore, pinstripe suits. You're not allowed to, dislike Frank Sinatra's music. That's now hate speech. You're not allowed to criticize Italy more than you criticize another democratic nation. You're not allowed to say Romans had any place in the killing of Jesus because Rome is in Italy. So technically that's anti-Italian. You're not allowed to say Romans killed Jesus. You're not allowed to question any Italian history. That's hate speech, any tragedy. Yeah, there's not a lobby for that, so that's not going to happen. But that would be funny. You're like, imagine if Trump passed anti-Italian speech laws, and you're reading through, and the fourth one's just like, you can't criticize Frank Sinatra's music. You're like, that's a little weird. You're like, I wasn't going to, but I don't like the infringement. My Way is a top 5 song. Anything less, any less analysis is hate, is a hate crime. People would be like, what? That's kind of crazy. Someone said Italian women are hairy. Well, yeah, that's definitely a hate crime. That's hate speech. If I were the dictator, saying Italian women are hairy, whether it's true or not, it's a felony. That'll get you in jail. No, I'm just kidding. Someone said eating Little Caesars pizza is a hate crime. Yeah, you gotta get like a local pizzeria. You can't be eating Little Caesars. What have the Romans ever done for us? I don't know. I'm not like a Roman supremacist or whatever. I don't know. I'm not like, my whole life doesn't revolve around gatekeeping what they've done or haven't done for us. So I don't know if you're kidding or not, but I can't tell you what they've really done for us. I'm not like a Roman historian. Someone said, okay, I got to go. This is long. I have to make lunch. Enjoy yourself. I'm not demanding people stay here for even more than 5 minutes. It's fine. I appreciate the announcement, but I'm not like a tyrant. Like, you have to listen to me. I promise you don't have to listen to me like at all. If you didn't listen at all, it's okay. It's all what you want to hear, what makes you feel good. Go through phases. If you want to hear it, I'm here. If not, it's okay. Roman numerals, yeah, that's hate speech to disagree with them. Leaving is anti-Italian. Leaving what? What would be Christian hate speech laws? You have to say the Pope's hat is really cool. That's a Catholic speech law, but you got to say the Pope. The Pope has a lot of swag, and if you say the Pope doesn't have swag, the only person in the world that you're allowed to say has better fits than the Pope is Kim Jong-un. Anyone else is hate speech. Obviously can't say Jesus' name in vain. You can't say any church is doing the wrong thing. You can't say any Christian has more loyalty to the Vatican. Anyway, that's never going to get passed because Christians are busy sending money to Ukraine or something. They're like, come on, Christians. They're like, Jesus wants you to send money to Sudan. He does? Does he? Maybe. Does Sudan need our help? Who needs our help? Uganda? What are we doing? Where are we going? We sending missionaries? We trying to convert people? We just funding wars? You got to give me some more info because my trust is very low now. But no, I got this like thing in church. It was like 5 different countries on it, and I was like, I don't know. I was like, where's this money really going? I'm always very suspicious. I'm like, what are we doing? Missionary trips? We funding like a rebel group in Nigeria or something to fight some like proxy civil war? Like, I don't trust it. I remember one time there was a lady outside like Trader Joe's in Los Angeles, and she goes like, we're here to fund Syria. And I knew a lot about Syria at the time. So I started asking her all these questions. And she's like, I don't know. I just work for this company. Because I was like, well, who are you funding in Syria? Because I was like, the Syrian government, excuse me. God bless me. Thank you. I was like, the Syrian government is technically fighting ISIS, who's fighting America, who's fighting. I was like, it's like a triple, proxy war. It's like a triangle. So I was like, so where's the money going in Syria? Because like, are we funding? When you say rebel groups or these people, they could be working for the terrorists. And she was like, yeah, I just work for a nonprofit. I have no idea where this money goes. I was like, all right. Like I asked too many questions and she got flustered. She's like, listen, they pay me $15 an hour to stand here with the bell. Stop asking questions. Like, all right, my bad. I'm not going to give you money if you can't tell me where the money's going in Syria. Oh my gosh. Thank you, AM. I appreciate it. Let's end this one. I feel like it's enough. 2 hours is kind of crazy. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. So Marjorie Taylor Greene called it treason. I mean, I don't know if I'd have to look up the definition, but it's a bold word. Bold word. Brave woman. Mayorkas definitely sucks at his job. She's putting interesting connections together to these nonprofits, which, might as well talk about them now because it's soon going to be hate speech. My line in the sand personally with Trump, it doesn't have to be everyone's. I'm not asking you. This could possibly change if he changes, but this is all I want. If you're going to take my money, send it to countries, you can't be passing speech laws against the Constitution. It's got to stop. And any speech law that mentions Jesus, it doesn't need to be there. There doesn't need to be a hate speech law that mentions Jesus by name, because that's in my opinion the slow roll to outlawing Christianity. That's my line in the sand. If a lot of people had that line in the sand, and people that went to Mar-a-Lago and stuff, they voiced their opinion about this, I think the Republican Party would change and true colors would be shown. But because nobody even knows about it, and the people who know don't want to talk about it, I don't see it changing anytime soon. Let me know what you think. I'm trying to keep this under 2 hours. I'll be back hopefully tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Appreciate you guys. And good luck to everyone who paid taxes. It will be used for a fighter jet to fight a foreign war, so everybody hates us. And then you're not allowed to disagree with it because, of course, that's hate speech. So always a fun time of year. Have a good one, guys. God bless you. I'll be back.
Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, stay blessed long sleeve, God is great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items coming soon. Dreamrare.com.